Hello, good evening, this is Diecast, and I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Vintage Diecast Monday episodes. And this week we're going to be taking a look at some corgi pieces. I've got a couple of new pieces that I've recently come across. Well, actual fact, one was gifted to me and one I come across. I thought we'd take a look at some other various corgi pieces from my collection. If I'm sounding a bit weird, it's because I bit my tongue really hard earlier and I've got a bit of a ulcer on it now, so I might be lisping a little bit, so I apologise if I'm not speaking clearly. With that being said, we'll get straight into it. So I found, let's put the camera down a little bit more, a bit better, this interesting, strange looking little truck, which, believe it or not, I've never even seen before. So when I seen it, and it's in pretty much mint condition, it was a bit of a no-brainer, just purely for morbid curiosity. But it is the Corgi Juniors number 36 Healer Wheeler. I think I said that right. If we get some extra zoom on, we can see it a bit better. So it has obviously got blue glass, which is obviously, so it has the beacon as part of the glass. It has got an interior. When I first picked it up, I didn't think it did, but you can just about see it. But the interior is actually part of the glass. So the glass and the interior is one, which is, you could say on one hand, it's a way of being a bit cheap. But on the other hand, it's actually quite clever. A good way of saving money. But it is an interesting little piece. Obviously, it is a mythical piece, a made-up piece, whatever you want to call it. Their own sort of made-up casting. But a very interesting one at that. And again, didn't cost much, a couple of pounds, and it is in really good condition. The sticker on this side is lovely and crisp, and as it should be, and obviously the same on the bonnet with the little red cross there. And on this side, it looks like it's been placed in the sun, but I don't know if it has, because if it had, you would have seen fade across there, and the glass would have discoloured. So I don't know what that is about. It looks to be sun fade, but then again, it would have all faded. The black writing is actually quite clear still. But you never know. You never know the history of these pieces. This particular piece, I believe, these came out from about 1973 to about 1983. And there was some other variations of it. I've seen a red version, but I didn't really look into it that closely. It wasn't a Fire Chief car, I don't think. I didn't, like I said, I didn't really look into it. But I just got it because I thought it was an interesting piece. There you go, Corgi Juniors, made in Great Britain, Healer Wheelers, or Wheeler, Healer Wheeler. And it does have a little bit of suspension. And obviously rolls quite nicely, quite light. So that's the first piece. Interesting, weird little car. If you're into collecting ambulances and that type of stuff, it's a great piece. The next piece is a present from my young son. He actually got me this for Christmas, and he's only 7, so this is what he picked out. And it isn't actually a car. It is, just bear with me, a Corgi Juniors Superman, I think it's called the Supermobile. And I had the larger version of this when I was a kid. I think it was the Corgi Major version. I can't remember now, but it was a lot bigger. And it had, obviously, Superman in the cockpit. And you could see it was Superman. It was all coloured. It was quite nicely detailed. These bits were silver, I believe. But this is still very cool, quite weighty. And again, in really nice condition. Still has its paper stickers. And there's the base. Needs to actually go back and push that down, and it fires. And you can see it's got a crude Superman figure in there. If you get some extra zoom on, it's actually quite a well. The face is done quite well, but pretty cool nonetheless. was happy to have it. It was from my young boy. He thought I'd like it, and I do like it. It is cool. It is cool. And these, I believe, the copyright on this was 1979. I don't know much more than that, because like I said, I didn't really go majorly into it looking it up, but it is pretty cool nonetheless. So that is the Superman Supermobile. Is that right? Yeah. So that's from my young boy. And then the next piece we're going to take a look at is a particular favourite of mine. And I got this a while ago now, and I have shown it a few times before. And it is Kojak's Buick. And it's obviously, I believe it's based on a Buick Regal. So there you go, corgi, whiz wheels, number 68, made in Great Britain, all that stuff. The box is really nice, quite nice box art. The colours are good. The box is in really quite nice condition. I didn't pay a lot for this back when I got it. The car isn't in too bad a condition, but you'll see what I'm on about in a minute. There you go. So let's take a closer look. And there it is. So it is in nice condition, but it's not mint. Like I said before, these particular corgis back in the day, bit of a hair there, they weren't very expensively made. They were just basically quite crude, stamped out pieces. But nonetheless, they are still pretty cool. This thing is just showing its age. It's got some rub marks. I think a lot of it is more the fact of just being stored in the box. So there's the base. Corgi Juniors, Buick Regal. But yeah, it's not too bad. A little bit of discolour on the chrome there, but it's in good enough condition for me. I've got a few of these Buick Regals. They actually made them in all different types. They did police cars, they did taxis, they did a plain Buick, and I have most of the variations. This is obviously Kojak's car, and I believe this particular version came out in about 1977 until about 1978-9, something like that. But it has got its box, which is a rarity. So, pretty cool. The next piece is another particular favourite of mine, and it is the Ironside police van, which is a little bit play-worn, a little bit tatty, but I don't care. It is too good to restore, really. I like it. It does still have its stickers on the sides. It's quite a weighty piece. If you get some extra zoom on, it's going to work. There you go. San Francisco Police. And if you move this lever back, if I can do it, my big clumsy fingers out the way, the flap goes up and just pushes back, and then you've got Ironside there in his wheelchair with his, I can't remember who that is now, but somebody helping him out the back of the truck. Anybody that remembers Ironside, he was obviously a wheelchair bound detective, couldn't say it then. But this truck, they didn't make it for very long. They only made it from about they made it from 1971. It was only made for a year, apparently. 1971 to about 1971, if my research is right. And this, if it was boxed and in, more in mint condition, they're fetching nearly £200. But I didn't pay a lot for this, and like I said, it is all there. It does all function. And this is the thing with corgi. They did go through this transitional period. They used to make some very, very nice pieces back in the day. In actual fact, you could say really that corgi was over-engineered, and a lot of the earlier whiz wheels like this were metal, quite cleverly constructed, nicely made pieces. And then as time went on, the whiz wheels got cheaper, had a more of a cheap feel. Like the Regal has quite a cheap feel to it, like it's just been knocked out. And the same with the cars from the 80s, or you know, early 80s. They're the same plastic bases on most of them, and just felt like they were knocked out. And that doesn't mean they weren't very good, because they were very good, but they did have a cheaper feel to them. And I believe that, I can't remember exactly on the dates now, but I know another particular favourite of mine, which is the Husky brand, which was only ever made for, I'm not sure how many years, but it wasn't made for very long, late 60s. But by the 70s, it was gone. And I believe that the Husky brand was turned into the Corgi Junior range, which sort of took over from the Whiz Wheels. The Whiz Wheels was an actual range from the sort of late 60s, early 70s, and then it sort of developed into the Juniors. As far as I'm aware of, don't hold me to this because I'm not a Corgi expert, but that's from what I'm aware of anyway. But that is a cool piece nonetheless, and it has, like I said, quite a nice feel to it. And then this next piece is in a Protecto, so I'm just going to remove the Protecto case. As you can see, it's in a Protecto, as it is in it because it's hanging up in my diecast walk-in wardrobe, I suppose you could call it. And it is this. Let's just zoom out a little bit. And it is the Corgi Junior's Whiz Wheels number 58 Ford Capri Fire Chief. And this is a piece that I got at the beginning of last year now. I got it sometime last year. Those of you who follow my channel will remember me getting this. And this was something that I traded in against a piece that I picked up thinking it was an original piece, and it was actually a restored piece. And what I paid for it, I wasn't very happy, so I actually traded it in for this. They wanted £30 for this, which I thought was a good deal, because these on a good day fetch between £70 and £80 if they're in this condition. And again, this is a Whiz Wheels, and I believe this was made from about 1970 to about 1972, so in this form. But there you go. You can see it has a metal base, metal, and it is, you can feel it in the packet. Obviously you can't, but I can, but it is a very weighty piece. And again, quite nicely made, but it's a particularly cool piece. But like I said, I've left it in this just because I'm not a carded collector. I am an opener. I open the majority of my stuff. It's always opened, but little bits like this, I do sometimes leave the odd one carded, just to have a representation of what they were like. And especially with these, as I find the Corgi Juniors and the Whiz Wheels, the Corgi Whiz Wheels and the Husky range are a lot more harder to come across than the Matchbox, as there's less of them for some reason. Especially the Husky brand is actually rare because they didn't make it for very long. So there was no chance of what's the word for it? I'm brain switched off now. Variations on Husky cars, because they didn't make them for long enough to make variations. But anyway, that's for another story. So that is that. And then the last piece in the show is another, obviously Corgi. It is a Corgi Juniors, but it is a later piece, whilst it was still being made by Corgi. And it is the Ford Sierra. And again, this one was made at 1985-ish, went on to the 90s as far as I'm aware of. And it does have, I get some zoom on, opening doors that open quite nicely. So again, the quality isn't too bad. Lights are part of the windscreen, sorry. There's the rear lights are part of the interior. Got some underneath detail. So they did fluctuate a little bit, but not as good as what Matchbox was turning out. But that is just in my opinion. So all you Corgi fans out there, don't bash me. It is only my opinion. But I do like Corgi. I do like Corgi. No suspension on this particular model. But anyway, that is today's video. My tongue is sore. I've had enough. I'm struggling to talk. That'll teach me for biting my tongue hard. And I'm trying to get the cars into shot. There we go. But anyway, with that, please like, share, subscribe. Stay tuned for more Vintage Diecast Monday episodes. I've got some new Matchbox. Well, I say new Matchbox. I've got some new vintage pieces. I've got plenty of vintage pieces of Matchbox. I'm trying to space them out a little bit. So I'll be showing some Matchbox next week. I'm working on another restoration, which I'll be releasing soon for my next giveaway, for probably end of the month's giveaway. And I'm also working on a custom piece as well, which is a modern piece. So stay tuned for all of that. And with that, I'll see you all very soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.